Steve, before you officially call it to order, I want to announce I'm going to call a soft opening of the trustees meeting. And well, being the chairman or the chairperson of this fine establishment is a thankless job, especially when you also have to be the village manager for half of it. And the village greatly appreciates it. I'd like you to have this gift.
Thank you.
Which you should open now before you call me.
I don't smoke cigars.
Before he says thank you.
It's back scratcher.
It's the start.
Wow, very good.
It's the start the meeting.
Yeah, start your final meeting as chair.
Meeting is called to order.
Good job, Steve.
So, notice we give them gavels as they leave because
Exactly.
they're just irritated. So.
Hey, you got something on. Present are, it's 6 o'clock straight up. BJ Putvain, Ktourangeau, and GiGi Beach, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And on Zoom, Diane.
Linda.
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 You
Sorry.
forgot already, Steve.
It's
been a long time.
It's nice. So also present are Dan Kopp and
Rob Moore.
Rob Moore. Welcome to you guys. So I believe the first order of business is to elect a new chair.
No, we gotta do the oaths first.
Both.
The oaths.
Oh,
Right. Well, first,
Gotta
any
get GG
adjustments,
official.
changes, or additions? Are there any adjustments, changes, or additions
adjustments, changes, or additions.
to the
So
agenda?
I have one. Go ahead. You have one, Linda?
I would like to talk about the select board is putting ARPA money into an account that earns 4% interest, and I think we need to discuss that, whether it's
It's on the agenda.
It is? Okay. I saw something on there, but I wasn't sure if it pertained to that.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have one quick thing about the invitation to the President's Forum next Monday, which with the trustees' blessing, I'm willing to attend.
That'd be great.
Oh, that would be good.
What's that?
They just have an invitational thing.
Breakfast.
It's good to have someone there. It'd be perfect for it.
Any other additions to the agenda? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I might as well shut mine off too.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
In that case, Rosemary, please administer the oaths to the new.
Yep, to DG, BJ, and Ken. Raise your right hands. You solemnly swear affirm that you will faithfully execute the office of village trustee for the village of Johnson and will therein do equal right and justice to all persons to the best of your judgment and ability according to law, under pains and penalty of perjury.
I do.
Yes. Girl, congratulations.
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Welcome.
The next order of business is the election of the officers. So the chair will entertain nominations for the chair.
I'd like to nominate for chair.
Is there a second?
I second.
Discussion. All right. We will vote. All those in favor of Ken Tourangeau being the chair.
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Congratulations, Ken.
The new chair?
Can I have one quick minute, please?
Sure. Again.
I just want to thank you guys and Diane for helping me a lot this year, and also you, Eric, and you, Rosemary. a lot of other people too, but especially you folks. It was, for me, it was kind of tough and stressful at times, but we made it. And I feel like the village is in as good a place, if not better, than when I took over, and I'm ready to keep working for the next 2 years with the new leadership.
It was a long year.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
So we're looking for a nomination for vice chair.
I nominate BJ.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye, congratulations, BJ.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I was trying with somebody else.
You,
Isn't that the way it is?
we'll fill you in on what you missed.
Could I say something?
Yes.
I would like just to say that I would like everyone to know that this weekend we were at a family celebration and a medical emergency happened at the restaurant.
Oh,
And BJ jumped right to the rescue and supported that person until the EMTs and ambulance arrived.
all right. Yeah, BJ.
Very, very, he's a good guy.
I was gonna bring it up if you didn't.
Okay,
Okay,
no, that was on my top of the list.
next.
We're looking at having an appointment for the Water and Lights Commission. Looking for a motion. I'm assuming we want to nominate Eric.
Yep. Nominate Eric for the Water and Lights Commissioner.
I'll second that nomination.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Congratulations, Eric. You get another task.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Let's review and approve the minutes of trustee meeting for our March 13th and our annual meeting of April 4th. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Rosemary.
Oh, moving right along.
Guess so.
We had the easy part lined up.
At the budget status report. Waterville and Belvedere have made their first installments of their fire contracts. And in the electric department, we have received the deposit back for Lion Electric for the bucket truck we're not going to purchase.
And today I officially quit our grant request with the state for that.
I saw we tried to transfer it, but it didn't.
Yeah, it would, yeah, had to be a large diesel.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sure. The sales to date for the first 3 months are at 28%, which is pretty much on target at this point. And then power purchase cost are at 13.39%, which is only for 1 month. The month of January, but we're just paying February instead of quarters. Water sales were at 26.87% for the year. Which is good.
What's that percentage again?
26.987.
So we just have to sign it. Step stapled together.
25%.
Some of them may say Diane.
That's on target.
Yes.
Sign it, just sign.
That also including application and reserve capacity checks. We've had what, 3 so far this year?
That's it.
Water and sewer application, 3 new ones.
Mhm. Yep.
So far, no really big differences in water and sewer, besides normal maintenance.
You said the only things that were exceptional was the loan payments.
Yeah, in this set of orders, our first. For the. Bond bank, we make 2 payments a year. The first payment is just interest. The second payment will be principal and interest. And I have a. Audit request form from. R.H. Smith and Company. And they came in at. 11,000 for the first 2 years and 12,000 for the third year. This will be doing 2021 and 22 audits. And that's about $1,000 more a year than we paid for the previous 2 years.
What was that for, Rosemary?
An audit for the village.
Oh,
Plus 1,000 per month.
No, that's 11,000 for the.
No, but you said it was plus 1,000 more
No,
than
it was
the
about
third year.
more.
Yeah. Than what we paid in the past.
Does this catch us up on our audits?
It will.
I know we're behind, so it catches right up. Perfect.
So do we have?
How
to
many
get
years is that
bid?
for, Rosemary?
For 3 years.
And then we're all totally caught up with it, all of them? I thought
Yes.
we were like 10 years behind or
Oh, no,
something.
no, no, no. No,
Oh, good.
our last one was 2019.
Okay.
So can we just go with this bid or do we have to get another one?
I would go with this bid. It's a lot of the firms now, they're not doing audits.
And is that, do we legally, we don't have to get a second?
I don't think we actually have a procurement policy, right?
We have a purchasing policy. It does. Ask that you do, get 2 prices in most cases, but. I'm not sure if that applies to you guys or to us.
So I'm gonna go,
to everyone.
I'm gonna go with is Rosemary's recommendation that we go with this one. I would be looking for a motion to approve.
Second, or I motion to approve.
Where are they out of, Rosemary?
Their main
Massachusetts.
office is in Maine, but most of their auditors live in the state of Vermont.
So the motion is to accept for 2020, 21 and 22. 2020 is $11,000, 21 is $11,000, and 22 would be $12,000.
34,000 total.
And one more quick question, do we have it, do we have money in the budget right now for it, or are we gonna have to do juggling? Or,
We have to, it's something we have to do.
yeah, right,
Can I just?
How long do so they've got 3 years worth of auditing. Is there a deadline that they have to have it done by?
We can give them one. I'm sure they'll do all 3 years at once. I'm hoping.
Oh, really? And what do you estimate is their timeline for doing that?
We had not discussed that yet.
Yeah. Does it take months or weeks or a year, or do you know? In the past, how long does it take to do an audit?
Well, it depends how busy the auditing firm is.
Oh,
So if, go ahead, GiGi.
There really wasn't anybody in Burlington that you could find or Montpelier?
A lot of them places don't like to work with municipalities,
Okay,
so it takes a special auditing or financial company to.
thank you.
And this company is doing several in the state of Vermont.
Okay.
So should we make an amendment to that motion, BJ, that we have Rosemary assign a ASAP timeline as soon as she speaks with them?
Yes,
Is that something you'd be willing to do? Yeah, so you okay with that? Yeah.
that way we get it taken care
Is that
of
good
and
for you, Donna?
off our plate.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous? Members of the public, Rob?
Well, actually, they're the next slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any other members of the public? Okay. So Rob, it's you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Corey and I are here again, to talk about the garage and, Eric, do you want to kick it off for us, set it up?
Well, you guys heard Rob before, and asked him to come back because we're kind of in the lame duck session at the time. And we're looking to secure sufficient money right now to handle engineering, architecture, and just preliminary, the early costs, as well as basically trying to earmark pretty much the rest of it for this project if possible.
Did we get a hold of anybody like we were planning on, just to see, get a general idea of the cost? I think wasn't that the reason why we
That
said,
didn't, that got pushed back because a lot of effort was put into scrambling to get to do the congressionally directed spending grants. That's gonna happen very shortly.
so we have no idea roughly what everything's costing right now?
I think our original estimate based on the previous engineer's work is a pretty solid foundation. And so with inflation and everything else that's been going on, it makes sense to increase their estimate from several years ago a little bit, which we did. And we're hoping that the architecture and engineering can happen for roughly 80,000, give or take, and then additional 20,000 could be needed for permitting and regulatory compliance work. So not just obtaining the permits, but groundwork to get all the information in order and have preliminary conversations with regulators, so on. Find that best path forward for that. So the idea is that the lump sum for now would fund the architecture and engineering consultant for the building, as well as that same firm's work on the regulatory and permit compliance pieces of it. We will then have a much better idea of how much the building itself is going to cost.
Weren't we looking at like 130 for something for the initial one?
You're asking to us how to set aside 125,000.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
That was a ballpark original request with the safety margin of, could you set this side much aside, allocate this much for us to get the ball rolling? As Eric mentioned, focused our time at LCPC on original requests. So we do intend to get that going as soon as possible, even this week. Drafting up a request for qualifications and solicit responses to those. We want to make it as easy as a process for you all in terms of not having to come back every time we need to spend another dollar. And so that was the idea of, well, if you want to set aside an amount and then say, well, if you exceed that amount, you can come back and ask for permission to exceed that amount. And that's where we were floating around the dollar amounts of 100,000, 125. Really, whatever you're comfortable with this time would be enough to get the ball rolling. And Eric can elaborate a little bit more on a strategy that I believe is on the table, is to use the ARPA funding to get the ball rolling with the engineering architecture consultant. And then then the consideration of the trustees is what you spend the rest of your ARPA money on.
That's in the consent agenda, item number 3, into that.
So this would include architectural design and engineering. So we'd be getting an actual draft showing their design of it.
Yes,
That's what you're looking for you to progress with.
that would be ideal for tonight.
Yeah, and then any permitting, as you said.
Would be an extension of that same firm's work.
So you were saying that 85,000 was for the architectural and engineering, just your ballpark idea. And then you were saying another 20,000 for the other permanent little wiggle room.
Yep.
Yeah. And it might make sense to just set aside 100,000 and then say, well, if you need to exceed that, come back and talk to us.
I mean,
I'm fine with that.
I think it's prudent to go with the 125 and, just make me keep track of it and keep you up to date. Because there's other stuff that can come up in this early stuff, especially with the BGS grant stuff. We might need to get rolling into phase 1, phase 2 environmental assessments, and that will include having to do bore samples. So you start spending money.
I motion to take out 125 and earmark it for the beginning stages of the garage. For you guys.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
So I have a question. So what happens as we get moving along on this? And the 125 isn't enough to finish what they're setting out to do, and they need more money. And then we give them more money, and then we move along a little further, and then we need more money again. What happens if that happens and we don't have the money to move forward? Do we borrow money? What happens when that?
We would have to get a loan. We already discussed this about a bond for the actual garage. So no matter whether the Moyle Valley Planning Commission here is doing this for us, or whether we hire a private firm, it can be the exact same scenario. So I suggest we go with familiar faces and people we have in the region. That's
True.
to
It's
guide
always
us.
better to keep it local.
And at the same time, Linda, Eric's, he's our in-between guy. And Rob just said that, if anything comes above that or whatnot, then he'd be back down here to talk to us and inform us more. And Eric would already have that information, I would assume.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm nervous about red flags coming. I'm just, nothing ever goes as smoothly as what we hope it's going
It's a
to.
red flag zone, so we're probably gonna see it.
Right.
Fingers.
Yeah.
Right, that's why I'm concerned about it, yeah.
So Steve, as past year, you were involved just a little more than the rest of us. You're comfortable with this and you think it's a good
I
idea
am.
to
We've been
proceed forward?
saying it's our priority for
We
over
have.
a year now, even though there's a lot of other things that are worthy. I think most of us would agree that it is our utmost
I
priority.
agree.
Great.
Gigi, you're new to this, so I'm sure you kind of paid attention somewhat to minutes and stuff, but
I actually was at the meeting.
I know you
The
were.
last meeting
Yeah.
that was there, and it was wonderful. Thank you very much.
But as far as ARPA funds, we've had some outlandish ideas and some good ideas.
And would you like my opinion?
Yes, ma'am.
My opinion is that every penny of the ARPA funds go to this village garage. I would like to ask that, as Linda had mentioned earlier about investing, if we have earmarked the 125, I assume that will be in its own account, not being touched unless it's for this purpose.
I think Eric said that comes later on in this.
Yeah.
We're gonna discuss that.
Talk about that.
Okay,
It's gonna be in the
that's fine.
village's possession until he requests money.
Yeah.
Okay.
All we're doing now is voting on the 125 earmark it for them guys to start,
Okay.
start it.
Correct.
I mean, you could add in that, the intent for the rest of it, or X amount of it is eventually for this project. That could be an additional motion if you. if
Is
it's
that gonna be
more.
coming later on down in this?
Hmm?
Won't
Yeah, I
it?
think it's a little premature.
But
Well,
yeah,
I definitely-
it would kind of make the discussion later on in this agenda. Move, but
Should we move it to now, or should we keep it where it is, later on about the rest of
we
the?
could move it now. It's up to the chair.
It's really up to you. You made the motion. Would you like to withdraw your motion or amend it?
No, I'd like to amend it. I'd like to. The initial 125 and then the remainder, however we gotta do it to. Try to get the interest on it and hold it and use that towards any grants or anything like that to help forward the garage. But basically use the whole thing towards the garage one way or the other.
Is that good for an amendment or would you like a new motion?
That's fine.
Okay, so what BJ's saying is we're gonna allocate the 125,000 now. With Eric's discretion. Along with Rob to get the engineering and architectural part done. And start the permanent process, am I correct? And then he's also, BJ's wanting to allocate the remainder of the ARPA funds. Towards the garage project for future. Is that correct?
Including interest.
Yeah, when that would be with Eric turning it, however,
Right.
the select board
So-
did to get us interest. If he
Hang
can.
on just one
So-
second, Eric, hang on just one
Yep,
second.
yep.
So that was an amendment. Are you okay with that amendment to the motion?
No, I'd like to vote separately. I don't want to commit the whole rest of the funds. I'd like
make
to
it into
reserve a
votes.
little
Okay,
bit.
so we're gonna go back to the first one of BJ's motion of $125,000. With Eric and Rob's discretion on how to be spent for architectural engineering and permitting. Any more discussion on that matter? Diane?
I'm just hoping that some of that money, the ARPA money, will be saved for grant writing.
Okay, well, that's not part of this one. Now, this is just the 125,000 for the other stuff. So there's the other part and we'll be doing that in the next session. So. Does that work for you? Okay, I guess we'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, and we,
So, did you want to go into those two items while we're right here?
I guess if they're gonna be part of it, then that would be.
Sure, would you like me to elaborate a little when we get into those
If you want to.
details?
Yeah.
So we have been working hard on researching grants that we reported last night. And so we have a pretty good portfolio lined up that is optimistic, trying to maximize the funding at the lowest local match required. So that fits into the potential use of ARPA money. And those funding sources could be any or all of the following: the congressional directed spending, the USDA grant that funds municipal buildings, the buildings and general services grant that focuses on energy efficiency and insulation and so on, heating and ventilating equipment in the building. LCPC has access to brownfields money if that is to become an issue. And I think the fifth one is potential of your local ARPA funds. And so one thing, realizing now that did not explain would be part of the 125 up front. Which that's plenty of money. Very much appreciate your willingness to get the ball rolling on this. LCPC will establish a project management relationship through an agreement of sorts or a contract or services for our role moving forward. What we've been doing so far is all normal services we provide in municipalities. I'll work with Eric to draft up an agreement for your consideration. And I imagine that that's the fund that it would come out of as well. We would be proposing to oversee the design and engineering, permitting, as well as the construction stages of the work all through. So how we slice and dice that and look at how we might break it up over time or categories is we'll sort that out and report back to you on that.
So basically the general contractor of the project. More or less.
Project management.
Project
roles,
management.
really
Okay.
running most of the administrative
Gotcha.
functions and chasing those phone calls, calling the regulator, making sure the engineer is reporting and producing their materials on time, filling out paperwork.
And that should be fine within that
And that's
125
what we
you're
would
assuming.
charge fee for our services for that.
And you think that would all be covered in that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I do, at least
Okay.
for the beginning, you know, for sure, if not the whole duration.
So that-
We'll take it in small steps moving forward, we'll get the ball rolling, that's priority number one.
Absolutely.
Get a request for qualifications out on the street. Solicit input, select a engineering architectural firm to provide those services and follow the request for qualifications process in terms of identifying a first, second, third sort of candidate, working together with them, negotiation, for example, with the first top choice doesn't work out, we would be guiding Eric and ultimately you on, well, let's just go down to our second choice and start negotiating with them in terms of the details of their costs and their scope of work. That they
Do you
provide.
get any kind of timeline on how long before this will start to get rolling?
Sure, then roughly, we could get an RFQ out on the street, hopefully within a couple of 2 or 3 weeks, I'll say, maybe sooner, we'll shoot for sooner. Roughly 30 to 45 days or so before we actually are ready to sit down and choose one. Enter into negotiations and hire them to work.
Yeah.
So that would, I then imagine that will duration of that work could take, depending on their workload, similar to the auditor question is, what else they have on their plate at the time, how long is it gonna take them to get the village garage in there, queue, and show up to the first meeting and so on. Unpredictable, it could be, a few months, it could be 12 months. Before a final design is ready for construction activities.
Would it make any sense? Or, I mean, are you going to use Engineering Ventures possibly as one of your, since they've already familiar with the project?
We have a way that we can solicit, we can advertise the RFQ publicly and also send it to targeted consulting firms at the same time. Urge them to consider responding to it.
If anything with that, Steve, we have their information, we already purchased it, so it would help with their advancement of the project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, it would be handy because we are kind of familiar with them.
So I have one last question, and this actually will help me decide on the later part of the ARPA funds. You're talking about grants for this building, and we know that we're basically on the assumption that's gonna be over $1 million with only 300,000 in ARPA funds. The grants you're talking about, are they the what?
425.
I thought we were taking some of that on electric. Did we not do it?
We didn't, I don't believe we had.
Okay. Those grants you're talking about to help us further get the money, are those matching grants? Or are they?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. It's
Okay.
mixed depending on the program. The buildings and general services is no match.
That's $500,000.
So in our head, we should have the idea that we are gonna have to pour more money because of these,
So-
some grants.
In a perfect world, with things lining up for us. If we set aside, at least in reserve, the ARPA funds. And things line up for us with the congressionally directed spending and the buildings and general services, and the project doesn't go way over. We will have some of that ARPA stuff to use for other projects at the end.
Yep.
But it'd be nice to at least have it in reserve for this in case stuff happens. Because, well, stuff happens.
Right.
Gigi?
I just have a question about. I understand that using the ARPA funds for other expenses and then taking that money that we didn't spend
Yep,
to that free, that
that's
made
what-
sure that we
that's
had
what-
that money.
that's
So,
what item 3 is about, and yeah, Duncan stole my thunder, we went to the same meeting and their meeting was first.
okay.
So, yeah, the Undersecretary of Administration brought forth a thing from the US Treasury. Basically, both the state and the feds want us to get the ARPA money off the books. They suggest we use the ARPA money for operations expenses and then take that saved money and put it into an interest-bearing account to use for what we were going to use it for. That takes all the strings off the ARPA money. It's village money now. And they can clean up their book with ARPA, we can clean up our book with ARPA, and we can make money on it while we're waiting to use it. And that's what
So
I'm at.
that's my question.
And
If,
that's an item that I'm asking you folks to let Rosemary and I manage and do.
Linda, you got anything?
Linda? Turn on your mic.
She's not talking, I don't think. Oh, she is talking. Got to turn on the mic.
No, I've had this discussion and I think that is the way to do it. We need to, like Eric said, clean up the books for everybody. And the money is ours once we've got it and are using it for our everyday expenses. It's ours.
To sum it up in layman's terms, the government don't want it sitting out there in limbo, so they say, all this ARPA money's still sitting there, they want to put it in our checkbook.
I was at that meeting,
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go, and I know.
Yeah, okay, so what I'm asking is, so this money that was just earmarked tonight,
Mhm.
so what you're going to do is spend the
Right,
ARPA money on
and
village
I mean,
expenses.
if some of it
So-
comes to fruition before we get it all processed through our books, then it'll go
It'll
direct.
go directly there,
And
okay,
then we'll process the rest through our books.
great. I just don't want to lose any of it, so
No,
that's,
no.
yeah.
Diane?
I guess I know the congressional money is, that's not matching anything.
75%. 75%.
It's 75%, grant, correct?
Right.
Oh, and then the 25% is a
Belongs to us.
So an example of it's $1 million project, they'll pay 750,000. The village would pay 250,000.
Mhm.
And the USDA, is that matching?
Yes. And that's
That's structured the same way.
also 25.
And the buildings and services is not.
No match.
If you get that, there's no match, but that's a maximum of 500,000.
Which is beautiful.
So you were saying about what you would like to save for the ARPA funds, Diane?
So just would like some kind of motion to,
Yeah.
all that.
You were saying that you wanted some ARPA money saved.
Yeah, I think, for a grant writer and grants other than the garage. And then matching funds for some of those grants if they're needed.
So now I know you've been involved, so you have a figure number you would like to save out for our small projects. I know you're talking about grant matching funds for covered bridge, possibly the,
Yeah, I think that can be, I think that's just covered in the grant. I don't think we'll need extra money.
okay, so you're, as far as public wise, you're concerned that everything should go towards the garage for grant matching.
You know,
Okay, that's what I'm asking
there
you.
are other things that need to be done in the village that, I mean, Gigi and I applied for a fellowship for, walking college, which is all about sidewalks. And I think that we need to go there and, try to get grants to do that kind of thing, and I'm sure there are going to be matching funds needed.
But do you have a number you would like us to set aside is what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
you're unrated.
I know I'm not, but how much?
25,000, which is what I said at my last meeting.
That's why I was asking, just to get it back out there. Okay, so we
I
have,
think
a-
having matching funds is kind of, I think, you know, everybody that applies for a grant that needs matching funds, they always say we will fundraise for it. We'll get the matching funds. And that is not an easy task to fundraise for matching funds. We've got this pocket of money and I do think that we should, and I don't have a dollar amount because I don't know enough about it, but I do think that we should have some money aside for matching grant money, or any percentage that we have to come up with to get more money. We're not gonna have a pocket of money forever to match
Mhm.
grants that come into us.
BJ?
What do you think, BJ?
I basically agree. I look at it as if we're running into this building and it could be 1.5, whatever. If we get these grants at 25%, that's pretty much taking care of the rest of the money. I feel we should convert the money into the interest thing, have it there to do match our grants and stuff. And then when the building is done, if we were lucky enough to get grants that did not have these matching and all that, and we have a pile of money left over, I'd rather do things with a pile of money that we know we don't need, instead of get halfway through this project with our tight budget and be like, you know what, we just spent all of our ARPA money and we have to come up with matching grants to finish our town garage. That's just,
You're gonna pass a bond and your project slows down and costs more money because it's in a bog waiting for a bond vote.
yeah, I'd rather get our project done and have the money afterwards and know exactly what we got. I mean, if we get these no matching grants, we could have 300,000 there that we could start doing things. Or we may need it for the project and have a lot less. I just think we need to really concentrate on this project. And then hope at the end we have money left over.
I guess. Dude,
So that's assuming that we would finish the garage while we still had, while the window to spend the other ARPA funds is still open, and I
There's
don't
no
know.
window. Once it goes in.
That's right. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep.
No, you're,
Once we deposit it, it's
Okay.
ours.
Okay,
No
so,
more.
so there's no
At the
deadline.
fund.
Okay, so in that case, I'll follow your reason.
Yes.
Okay, so this is gonna sound strange to all you, because I'm the chief ass here. But I kind of agree with Diane. I don't agree with your number, Diane, but I agree that we ought to have a little rainy day fund for granting projects, you know, and it's not the big projects, but more of the smaller projects. We have several that we talked about. We're hoping we can get the state to do the flashing and crosswalk signs. I don't count on the state for nothing. We talked about different crosswalk type stuff, small improvements to our village, which would greatly benefit everybody, pedestrians, along with the walking on the sidewalks. What's our total number, Eric? If we take the 125,000, reserve it for what we first talked about, we have what left?
That will be at 300.
300.
Right, Rosemary? Yeah.
I mean, it's the only time we'd be able to say, let's throw 25,000 or so in the corner and save it for something. Doesn't mean that if we get to the point down the road that we couldn't say, let's just kick it back in for that. It's more of a just a set aside, sometimes even fallback, you know, I mean. We ran short on a couple of things for our budget before and stuff, you know, and we're considering using a lot of ARPA funds for our budget, and thank God we didn't have to.
but question, in those cases, worst case scenario, emergency happens, that money's in that account.
I
And we could
understand, I
have,
just kind of.
we could as a group change that.
Absolutely, that's what I said, if we could kind of say that, you know, that maybe it would be best to put some to the side for this moment in time.
So,
You know, I mean, just to use Diane's little project over at Covered Bridge, she's worked hard on that. Supposedly, we're not having to match anything. We all know at the end of that project, we're gonna have something, we're gonna have to come up with funds for it. You know, it's just the way it works, so what, do we want to script and scrape and have Rosemary work numbers around so that everything fits out again? Or do we want to just say, let's take 25,000, 30,000 and stick it over here and say that other part is 100% earmarked for the garage and grant funds?
I
This is
don't,
just my suggestion on the board. So.
no, I get it, and I think even with what we're doing, with the way I said it. That money's still there for an emergency anyways. I would rather have everything put towards the project and then have to come back as a board and say, hey, this popped up. We need to take this amount of money and use it for this instead of secluding the money from that pot.
So then what you're saying is we'd have to count on Eric to, when he got to $30,000 to stop and come tell us. He only has 30,000 left of the ARPA funds.
Oh, no, if we need that, if we need the ARPA funds for the building, we can go right to zero with that.
Correct, but that's what I'm saying. So for now, we set this aside, and if we get these other projects and use that money before it's time for that, there's gonna be, say, $25,000-$30,000 right out of that. We use that money that we've just discussed.
And going the same way you're going, if we use that on something else and then we get done to the building and we're down to this needing $25,000-$30,000.
We're gonna need a bond no matter what.
Right,
So,
right.
but at that point in time, if it was down to, I'm just guessing, Robbie, correct me, if we're down to $25,000 decision, we're gonna be at the number for a bond to start getting it. The most part, I would say. Just my opinion, but.
Yeah, how how you decide to set aside your ARPA funds or allocate it or not is your discretion. I can offer that LCPC is available to help with other grant projects that may come up, a sidewalk project, covered bridge, whatever. We can go out looking for that money that's applicable to that, and those are long-standing recurring annual programs that are well established. V-Trans usually the 20% match. There's $300,000 for a little stretch of sidewalk, would be $60,000 to match that. The timing, it's an interesting conversation to hear you discussing the timing of when might we need to know versus when we actually know. I think is a reasonable question, and I'm not gonna try to recommend that I use that for it.
Okay,
I'd like to throw out a motion.
I was just throwing that out, but
No, I like to throw out a motion that we have the money converted again, and we have the other 300,000 earmarked for the town garage.
Village.
Or I apologize. The village garage, for grant matching and all this stuff. And then that's not saying if something come up and we need the money for another little project or to match something else that we can't just take at. This is just, I'd like the idea of it to be put into that, to try to get this garage done. And then afterwards, if we have a chunk of money, then we, have another conversation of where to put the money.
so your motion is to put the remaining ARPA funds into the village coffers and use it for the garage.
Yes.
So we have a second.
And to not put 25 or 30,000 aside for,
That was his motion,
Ex-
correct?
your
Yeah.
motion is or isn't to put money aside?
It is not to put money aside, but that's not saying if emergency comes up where we need to take 10, 20,000 for something that we can't touch that money.
Yeah.
We can, as a group, decide, okay, you know what, we need that money, let's take 20 here and do this with it. But just as a idea or as a whole, earmark it for the building to complete this building.
I guess you're gonna need to have a definition of what an emergency is.
Well, the
Because there are
group
other
is-
projects that will there could be other projects that need matching funds that you might not consider an emergency, but would greatly benefit.
Yep, but that's why we have a board. The board as a whole
Yep.
will consider the emergency. We'll have it come up and then the board as a whole will decide on that. And the board will, like anything else, decide what's the emergency and what's not.
Okay, so we had a motion going, so BJ, you're motioning to put the remaining 300,000, is that correct, Eric?
After the 125, yep.
After.
We already did
So
that.
Collected money.
So the remaining
Collected
ARPA
interest.
funds into our coffers. And do we have a second?
I'll
Well,
second.
it's for the purpose of village garage.
Yep,
Yes.
for the purpose of the road and garage, correct.
I
We
will
have a second. Any discussion now, Linda?
Yeah, I still am concerned that it's, I'm still concerned that there's not a pocket of money put aside, that's not not put aside, but earmarked. I guess it's earmarked is a better word.
So as BJ was saying before, we have full discretion of the funds that are in our checkbook. So by putting it in the checkbook, if for say 3 months down the road, Diane's project at the covered bridge comes through and we need $5,000, this board can remove $5,000 from that.
And the reason and just to help you understand where I was coming from, I feel like if we have 25 allocated for other projects, we'll want to spend those in other projects instead of waiting for something to come in that needs it until that's done. That's the only reason I was thinking, like if Diane's thing gets done and we need the 5,000 for that, we can take it for that instead of somebody else coming in and say, hey, we want to do this. And then, oh, well, we have this 25,000 that we can use for that, and then just use it on things that we don't need to, that aren't as important as a garage at this point.
I think we're in understanding of that.
Okay.
Call the question.
I'll share your optimism in that, as Eric was describing, saying earlier, the portfolio that we're trying to put together to cover the cost of the garage, if it all comes together just right, could be 750,000 from Congress, another 500,000 from buildings and general services. in theory, that would leave you unspent ARPA monies to then do something like covered bridges or sidewalks.
And then at the end, and the thing is at the end, if we have this big chunk, then we can look at bigger projects to spend this money on instead of pulling it out piece by piece and then in the end, not having so much.
Okay, let's call a question. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Nay.
Motion passes. Do we need a roll call on that?
No.
Rob, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Robin Victoria, sorry, Victoria. I knew I saw a name in here, I just didn't look. Next, village managers report. Actually, can we let Dan go? So
We can let Dan go for absolutely.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna need first. Dan Call, glad to have you back, buddy.
Thank you. GiGi, I'm being called from the chief operations one.
Nice to meet you, pleasure.
I'll be in touch with you if you want to come down at one of the two facilities, just to give you an idea, so you know what we're talking about, something you know what we're talking about.
I look forward to that.
All right.
Thank you.
Bring
Thank
it
you.
close, pin.
That's for anyone else who hasn't been there.
I have 3 dogs.
Have you all toured it yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Gigi, when you do that, let me know because I need to do that tour thing.
There you go.
Sure.
Okay, that's right. You were out of town. Then we got to this.
Right.
It's a very good
Yep.
thing for you to do because
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff over there that would make sense to you once you see it and then we're talking about it.
Well, there, I'd also like to have a tour of the fire department.
RJ can arrange that for you.
Thank you.
When are you back in town?
The end of next week.
Okay.
So if we could do the first week in May sometime or the last week in April, I'll get in touch with
Sit
you.
down with all the officers and explain stuff.
Thank you.
Wastewater side, the EMR and WR43 were submitted to the state. We had a call out for a low from a wet well, it had a grease accumulation and the transmission was dirty. We cleaned them up and we haven't had any problems since then. Received the repaired belt, the belt press back from the manufacturer at no cost due to the defect in the manufacturing process. We received and installed a 3 larger monitor for our SCADA system in the office. We had nearly the process water pressure tank that was low on pressure. We cleaned and painted containment trip hazards in the chemical feed room. We pressure washed all the belts on the belt press. Because today we launched the lighting upgrade. We had Google Electric came and did a quote for changing all of the lighting to LED lighting throughout the facility and putting motion sensor on-offs on all the rooms that we are in very often. Came in at 15,500. The grant is for 25,000. So we went back and at county oil come down, we looked at putting in 2 mini split heaters in the office and in the MCC room lab area. I haven't received those quotes back. We seem to think that left was about $9,500.
Yep.
We seem to think that will fall within that. The only caveat is they don't run the electrical out to the disconnect by the condenser. So that would have to be part of the rules. So we're waiting to see what this comes back. There's a chance we may have an overage a little bit. Then I'll come back to you guys, but even if it's $1,000 more, I mean, it's money well spent.
Well said.
No-brainer.
Once we get those numbers together, I'll pass it on to Eric and, if it's initial comes in for 25,000, we need approval. We'll get it for you as soon as we can.
I'll see Marcel tomorrow.
Yeah, and
I'll plug him.
Can you hear okay, Linda?
myself.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a good guy.
And I'm waiting to see exactly where we can kind of go before I contact them to get a quote on running the power out. So. But yeah, give them a heads up, we might have to do that. On the water side, the monthly reports were submitted to the state. All 400 samples were negative. The nitrate sample for Osgood well was non-detectable. We had called for an intrusion alarm at the water plant. The heavy winds moved the entry door enough to set off the alarm. We adjusted the lock set so it closes tighter. It won't be affected by the wind anymore. The state drinking water division approved removal of the native well from the system. It is disconnected and we have no further responsibility for it. We're working with Chip Percy to relocate the village water line around the well house so it is not inside of the building. We rotated the pumps at Putvain booster stations. And the water loss for March was 19%. Water sales for the continues going up, which is good. This month, we're out now 210,000 gallons per bottle.
Perfect.
Right. Thank
Any
you.
questions for Dan?
I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Eric, you gotta get her website, her emails set right up,
Yes,
and then either shoot it to him. It probably won't be on the webpage as fast, will it? Is Tech gonna do that, or?
yeah, tech group has to do it.
So just send him her email, and then they can start coordinating and get some meeting there.
Great.
Good.
Thank you, Dan. Good to see you again.
Yep. Good night.
Now we'll go there.
Linda, did you get the fire department officer? sit
I
down?
did.
Okay, so it's.
Yep.
Right, so you got one of the two. Okay, good.
You did.
All right.
How did you ever go sit with the fire department?
Did I what?
Did you ever end up sitting with the fire department?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just trying to think. something
Yeah, and
else.
I got
Dan's tour.
Dan's tour too.
Excellent.
They're a good bunch of good guys. They'll treat you good. And they're gonna give you a lot of information.
I can't wait. I've been eager for this,
They
actually.
don't give you a ride though, I tell you.
I made one too.
I'm on the old reel and sitting there.
There you go.
Diana.
All right, current part's a little repetitive after the previous thing, but I worked with Tori Hellwig of Lamoille County Planning Commission applying for congressionally directed spending request for the water and light garage. We've submitted the request to Senator Sanders and Welch prior to their deadlines. We received preliminary feedback from both offices that suggests that our project is a contender. These programs look promising for the project and can cover 75% of project costs if we are selected. I attended a legislative breakfast at Jennison House on the 13th that had 6 of the Lamoille area lawmakers in the panel. I spoke to the pitfalls of the Affordable Heat Act, both as a regressive tax on lower income working Vermonters, and for my position as electrical utility manager on the further strains it will put on the regional power grid that was perilously close to being undersupplied this winter with current usage levels. I attended the ARPA resources meeting hosted by LADC and the state of Vermont, along with GiGi and Duncan. It raised my awareness of the availability of different programs and strategies that they suggest for getting our ARPA funds off of the federal books. More of that on item 3 of the consent agenda, which we've already done. And the entire LCPC staff was also in attendance. Early indications are that we have beaten the raccoons. Passive has also cut us a check that will cover the expenses beyond the deductible that we will split with the town. On March 29th, the VPC Capstone Project gave us a preliminary presentation of their project. They took feedback to apply towards their final project presentation. At the very minimum, this will afford us an ASHRAE level 1 audit, which is a architectural design audit for energy efficiency and such, and will most likely save us time and money when applying for the BGS energy efficiency grant. They'll be doing their final presentation on August 26th at VTC Randolph. President Gruhl will likely be in attendance. I've been asked to be a guest speaker and generously accepted. On March 31st, I had a meeting with the LCPC staff and an engineer from Weston and Sampson who specializes in brownfields projects in regard to the water and light garage project. Using federal grant funding is almost certain that we will be told to complete a phase 1 and likely a phase 2 environmental assessment, and we are getting ahead of it to minimize its impact on timeline and costs. VIPSA did a 2-page article for their annual report on our energy efficiency project in our cooperation with NVU Johnson. It is attached. It looked a lot better in color. One of you has it in color, I believe, because I have it in black and white.
I have a question. That's a question.
Yes.
Is there a reason why, and I'm sure this comes up in more than just this issue, but when you talk about splitting the deductible that will be split with the town in terms of the raccoons?
Well, raccoons and water damage.
And water damage,
all one
right,
thing.
but is that a 50-50 split?
Currently, it's a 50-50 split on that. Yes.
And so that means if and I know.
It's a
I'm sure
jointly
this came
shared
up.
building.
It's a jointly shared building, but the village is already. The village residents are already paying for it because they also pay town taxes, correct? So is, and I don't know prior discussions about this, but is there a way to prorate it so that village taxpayers aren't hit for a full half?
Good luck with that, Gigi. It's an ongoing conversation.
We generally save that one for taxes,
Okay,
but as far as jointly shared and jointly owned buildings, it's just 50%. Because
We have $1,000 deductible.
and we occupy with them. And we occupy the 50% space. Actually, I think we occupy more of that space over there, don't we, than 50%, but.
okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
and that,
So any of the buildings is generally 50 because it's the village also.
so, but it is equal,
Correct.
it's not like the mill house that's
Correct.
one room versus.
Till it
okay,
comes to the merger cost, and then it's not gonna be equal.
which is a different discussion,
Yeah.
correct? Thank you.
Eric, I have a question too.
Yes.
So when they're talking about phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessment, what does that mean exactly? What does phase 1 do and what does phase 2 do?
Phase 1 is mostly, I remember, it's mostly, you know, a write-up. It's, you're looking, you know, you have someone look at what's there and reports on it. Phase 2 is when you start taking like core samples of the ground and analyzing it and deciding what's down there.
But simple way, Linda, is phase 1's they're looking for the problem, phase 2, they're figuring out how to solve the problem.
And according to the engineer, Steve LaRose from Weston Sampson, who has some background on that property, his best guess is that yes, there'll be some stuff found, but because the scope of the project is staying within the current footprint, the most likely remediation that we'll have to do is probably add 6 inches of concrete to the floor to prevent anything from, you know.
So this pertains to the building directly, not the land around the building?
But just that he thinks we can limit it to that because our project is not moving earth.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
If we're refabbing, we're not doing new construction.
Right.
Right, right.
So we're to remove the slab and everything, it's a whole nother ballgame.
Right.
So,
And that slab's not cracked or anything like that?
No,
No.
no. That's, you know, it's one of those things when you use some federal money, they get all the hoops.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Hey, congratulations on being a speaker.
Oh, thank
Should
you.
we all go and listen to you?
You can.
Can we heckle you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I might too.
I'm
We'll
not, I'm working.
We'll just hoot and holler and cheer.
Yeah, I got a way of dealing with
People
hecklers.
like us.
I'll be ready to shut down hecklers.
Military background showing up.
All right, the Johnson Water Light Report for April, prepared by Nate and Ann, Electric Department. Hyde Park Mutual Aid for 20.5 hours this month, 4 hours for storm work on 314. And again, all of that was billed. Started right away cutting because the weather's gotten better. 314 outages for Wescombe Road for 1 hour, Sweetser Road for 2 hours, both for heavy wet snow. 315 outages for Sweetser Road, 2 hours, heavy wet snow. 316 outage for Plot Road, 40 minutes, heavy wet snow. 326 outage for 850 and 794 Clay Hill for 3 hours, heavy wet snow. Met with the electrician at 487 Clay Hill Road for about a service change out. 1775 Clay Hill Road voltage issues. It's all to do with his solar fighting with the incoming. Met with the owner at 93 River Road West for moving a pole. 140 Hogue Road voltage. Huh?
Hoag.
Hoag. Okay. Hoag Road voltage issues, placed a voltage recorder, completed monthly meter reading, high-low check, substation check, and dig safes. Water and sewer, 357 Clay Hill Road, possible water leak, ended up being groundwater. Nate continued going to class for water distribution, and I believe his last class is actually it might be last Thursday.
Good.
Yeah.
How's he feeling? Good about it?
He is. He needs to do a little bit of just cram session, taking practice test stuff, and then we'll schedule him for an exam because he can't, unfortunately, he can't go to the written sit down exam because it's being scheduled while he'll be sunning himself in Dominican.
Got you.
So, yeah. General Department completed winter sidewalk maintenance as needed, fixed crosswalk sign by,
Lower Main West.
there you go. He needs to stop that. On Main Street. On the 20th, there's the pressure wash graffiti on the retaining wall of the village green. That he was like, the local business owner called that in and told him it needed to be done. And he's like, well, what do we do? He's like, I'm pressure washing it. He's like, that worked great. So that's our new method. Fix the flagpole at Village Green. I'll add that they also put up a new flag here because the other one is grungy and slightly torn. Had a safety meeting with DEP on March 29th on OSHA Fundamentals 5. Ann's update. Met with Nate to discuss crossarm replacement on Railroad Street. Crossarm replacement on Railroad Street. This requires an outage of Main Street. Needs to be scheduled as soon as there's little left of the arms. Met with Nate. I'm going to suggest that that's probably a good use of overtime to do that during non-business hours.
What does that mean, the replacement of the arms? What I don't know what you're talking about.
So poles go up and they have cross arms that hold wires.
Oh, the electric poles.
Yes.
Oh, I'm thinking crosswalks. I'm like, what? in the-
No, that's
Okay.
why, yeah. So the cross arms are shot.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
replace cross arms, you're gonna have to shut down Main Street power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They have all the supplies already in hand to do that.
they do. But so we're gonna try to schedule that, like I said. We'll schedule that on overtime just to keep from impeding Main Street businesses. I hate to use overtime, but this is a good way to use it.
Agreed.
Met with Nate regarding the remaining work at the Twin Bridges. This will require some traffic control time. Discuss the issues with two solar arrays and Nate and solar contract. We installed a recording voltmeter at the Sullivan Solar Service to get a better picture of the issue. There may be an area-wide voltage issue being exacerbated by the present line configuration at Twin Bridges. We plan to install a voltmeter at the Clay Hill Solar after removing it from Sullivan's. Learn how to set up an ancient GE recording strip voltage meter. I received the results of these meters, but have never directly worked with one. They are a masterpiece of electrical and mechanical design. Received an estimate for doing work recommended by TSI and substation transformers. The estimate was $7,875. I investigated the advisability of performing maintenance on the main transformers LTC. It appears that given the total number of operations that the LTC does not need maintenance.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Where are the Twin Bridges?
Heading out 100Z. Right after Sinclair Road on the right. There's one bridge.
Where the Romeros?
They're just, Casey Romero and them live right in the middle of them.
From the bridge that goes over from the covered bridge.
Yep, head up north on 100C.
Okay.
It's a little swag before that
Oh,
upper
is it?
corner.
Casey?
Yeah.
Is that- Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Yep. All right. Johnson Fire Department report. Calls. Fire department responded to 13 calls, 10 during the daytime, 3 during the nighttime. The average duration was 92 minutes. Calls were 1 chimney fire, 1 vehicle fire, 1 debris fire, 3 automatic alarms, 4 vehicle crashes, 1 wilderness rescue, and 2 mutual aid, structure fire, and station coverage. Staff, the number of firefighters that responded to 12 total hours of service was 203. Other, we have taken delivery of a new portable pump. This replaces an older pump that we began to have mechanical trouble with throughout last year. The new pump will be placed in service on engine 2 early next month. The project replace Rescue 2 and retrofit Rescue 3 is complete. Though many hours of volunteer firefighter labor in a local donated shop and through many hours of volunteer firefighter labor and local donated workshop, and impressive savings realized by those efforts will remain in our capital truck plan and support future needs.
What do we do with the old pump?
I'll ask RJ.
I don't know if we put it out for sale or for bid, you know what I mean? Probably not a lot of value in it, but
Every little penny counts.
yeah, well, you never know.
My guess is they put it somewhere in reserve in case anyone
Backup.
poops.
Yep, well, that's what I was just curious if they're saving or whatnot. And please tell RJ, we thank them for their great service.
Mhm.
Just as an aside, do we cover the uniforms and everything for the fire department? Does the village
It's
pay for all
part of their
that?
budget. It's part of their budget, yes.
So there's, I'm not sure about like when they go to a parade, but their turnout gear was definitely covered, which is the
Mhm.
expense. part.
Right,
Mhm.
We probably cover their shirt and
I'm not sure if we do officers
don't
gear,
think so.
and I don't think we do actually. Which it would be a respectable thing to do, but
Yeah.
maybe we can look into that.
I would like to look into
if they
that.
ask for it, we would probably.
Put that on your radar list and keep
It's there.
reminding
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, ask RJ at the meeting.
Okay, great,
Yep.
great.
Okay,
We're down to other action items.
What about this water usage? Is that anything we have to do?
Ms. Westcott?
Well, that's item 2 on the agenda on this, any other discussion items.
so we have review of trustee rates and compensations.
Oops, sorry.
This was put on the agenda because the voters gave us permission to adjust employees' rates and whatnot, and the select board put it on their agenda and move forward with it, and I think it's something we should consider, but we.
So on that, I was thinking about that, and I definitely think, it hasn't been raised in a while, so we should definitely raise it. But before that, I didn't know if we could get Eric to look and see how many hours we put in last year, just to see what we're looking at and determine how much it should go off that. That way, it's just not a blind figure. We can kind of have some kind of idea.
So hours in actual meetings,
Yeah, whether it's a special meeting, regular meeting,
joint
joint
meetings,
meeting.
that's something you should be able to do off minutes here.
Or task,
You got a month, it won't be back up, so.
task somebody to do it or
Yeah,
something.
Maybe. we just
Yes,
have
that sounds
Marla
like a
do it.
delicate task.
It won't be Marla.
I'm happy with leaving it the same. I think if we start getting into hours and stuff, it's gonna be kind of pathetic, because I don't think we
Then-
really.
Then we can just figure out, I mean,
Just my.
Yep.
if we don't want to get into hours, we can just do it now and do a figure. I'm just thinking if we go hours, we can kind of look, okay, what does it kind of equal out to be? And then just like select board went up too. Did this select board went up with theirs, right?
They did, I'm not, well, Rosemary would know.
The voters voted to increase that down.
Okay,
I think 2,000 for the chair and 1,500 for the members.
so they went up. Okay, and what are
Increase of 2,000 and 1,500 for the total.
That was total.
total? And what are we at right now? Do you know?
Well, 1,100.
1250 and 1,000 for chair. And you said they were
2,000, 1,500.
200.
2,000.
Okay, so I think it would be a good idea just to get the amount of hours spent in meetings, just for our own knowledge. And
It's
how
gonna-
many- how many meetings a year?
Average out to like $2 or $3 an hour,
So the,
We're not really looking for that. I think it's just more of an informational gathering.
my question would be, would 2022 be a representative year considering all that happened? I would say it's a crushing year on hours compared to normal.
Especially for the chair.
Well, I'm gonna go with the last 4 years, 3 years would be. There was, when I started, we had a meeting every week
Right.
forever, it seemed like.
When I started, it
A lot-
seemed
a
like
lot
there
of
was a
stuff
meeting
going
every
on.
week.
Mhm.
Okay. So I guess we could look at it this way and
I mean, what's the consensus of the board? Should we do it that way or just do a set amount?
well, we're only on here for discussion,
Yes.
so.
Right.
I think if maybe Eric, I don't know, Eric, if you want to look back at 2018 before pre-pandemic.
Sure.
I have a question. How many people here kept track of their hours? I didn't.
I didn't.
I
don't.
No.
So.
I mean, the minutes are what's gonna keep track
The
of the
minutes will
hours.
be.
Minutes, yeah.
Well, that keeps track
I
of
was
board
doing all
time.
the associated, just so I was sitting here.
Tells us when our meeting starts and adjourns.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just for meetings. It's not,
just for meetings.
not all the side gigs.
Yeah, all the time at home and stuff like that, we'll never be able to. Yeah,
When I'm
yeah.
texting you on Sunday. That counts. But I think. with
2018.
BJ's point, if we look at like, say like 2018 and look at the hours spent and then the amount of meetings, and then we'll just take it from there.
Okay.
Does that make sense to the board?
Sure.
And then just push it to next, put it on the next agenda.
Linda, does that make
Please.
sense to you?
Yeah, I don't, you know, you're gonna be shocked because you're gonna see that you make like $2, maybe $2.50 an hour.
I'm not gonna be shocked. I didn't do this for. the
Yeah,
month.
you know, it's like, exactly. Exactly, that's my point, yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
due diligence, and to be fair, we should look at it. Okay. Next up, discuss and act on customers' application for sewer bill adjustment.
Yep, it's next to your packet, so. Katie Westcott. Up in Katie Wen. Had a water line break. And she's only asking for her sewer charge to be abated to her 3 month average. I support this request. So the 3 month her sewer bill because that leak was $311.34. Her 3 month average is $39.14. And she just asked the board to change it to the 39.14.
I make a motion that we.
Just 1 second, please. So the customer made adequate repairs and. Joe
Yes.
they did.
Yes, she did.
So,
I forgot to bring it upstairs. She had a whole letter of how it happened, when she called, attached the bill from the plumber, all that stuff.
yep, okay, that's what I was wondering, because I read your packet there and it said that they had to show proof of repair and
Yes,
adequate
I can
repairs.
run down and grab that. if you
Nope,
like.
I was just, I'm sure everybody got it in the
Yeah.
packet when he sent it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Steve?
I left that portion out of the packet because the packet was getting so thick and we've chopped enough trees. I was.
Steve, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we lower Kate Westcott's sewer bill to her previous average before the break of the 3 months, which is $39.14 a month.
Do we have a second?
Second it, I'll second it.
Any discussion? This is standard procedure, GG, so you know, as long as they show that they've made repairs. And a lot of it is. You know, you just gotta have general forgiveness.
Right, no, I completely
Right,
support.
and so. They didn't ask for their water to be abated because even though it went on the ground, the water was used, but it didn't go into the sewer.
Right,
So,
We charge by the water intake, not sewer outtake.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It didn't come into our sewer.
we didn't have to process it or do anything.
We didn't,
Right.
it's on the
Right.
ground, correct?
right,
Thank you for explaining this.
Yep. All in favor?
Hi.
Unanimous?
okay.
So on the agendas, discuss,
We've already done 3,
we did 3.
yes.
4, discuss the results of the village ARPA survey.
Yep, so this first page is just the intro to the survey. Telling people what we're looking for. And after that, you find a graph of who answered the survey. 62.5% village residents, 6.3% non-resident village property owners, 31% business owners or employed in the village, another 31% of people in, this area, not in the village. So I don't know if you want to.
There's one thing here that caught my eye on suggestion number one. Was the automatic door for the library. Now, that's that jointly owned building.
This town
Town
library.
building, that's what I thought.
Okay. There's a lot of people don't understand all this.
Yes, I was just double checking, I didn't think it was, so I was just.
So that would have, the town would have to do that with their article.
I mean, we insist, but it's, I just like to throw out there, that in a perfect world, we'd love sidewalk all the way to Jolly's.
Agree.
Yeah, that's my second highest priority.
So,
as well.
Agree.
I did some background on that, not counting the culvert crossing, which would be extraordinarily expensive. Just running sidewalk, in an area that doesn't have sidewalk, which is cheaper than replacing sidewalk. 6-foot sidewalk is going to cost you between $35 and $45 a foot.
Now,
But hasn't,
we'd have to get permission from the state to be in there right away.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of
And
junk.
I'm assuming the state right away is only a 2-rod road.
I don't.
Seeing how it's only 2 rods in the middle of the village.
By Rod Road.
Oh, it's 2.5 per side, correct? Yeah,
Yep.
you're right. So. I don't think it would all be in the village right away anyway. I think we'd be on private property and then we're into a whole different ballgame. Plus the
Eric,
bank-
Eric,
yeah.
did you say it was cheaper to build a new sidewalk than to replace a sidewalk? Is that
Yeah,
what you
because
just said?
you have no demo costs.
Yeah, yeah. So the other place where the sidewalks is on School Street, and I'm telling you, I cannot believe the number of people that walk. The sidewalk ends at the new apartment buildings that were put in there. But the number of people that walk to Beard's swimming hole, which is a huge draw in the summer, and that's not as long of a sidewalk that would have to get put in as it is to Jolly's, but we really need to look into that because people fly through that covered bridge. I don't think it needs to go all the way to the cover. It needs to go to the parking lot where the Beard swimming hole is. But we really should take a look at that. And that would be just really the Sweetser property. That, there's only one house between, let me think here, there's only one house between those apartments and the Beard's parking lot.
Correct, but Mr. Kraus owned across the road from his house and. So we did,
Who are you talking about?
there was Mr. Kraut, wasn't that his name?
No, Sweetser.
Bob Harold.
Bob Harold.
Oh, Bob Harold's house. Well, somebody else bought that.
I think. It was
Right.
cool.
But he
Cool
owns a
nickname.
land on
But
the
he
lot
owns
too.
the place.
Oh, that's
From
true.
his
That's right,
house.
because that's right. There is that space because they park their cars there.
Look, basically, all I was just trying to throw out is if it's privately owned land, we're in a world of process to get them to give us easements and give it to us, basically. Not saying that Sweetsers and them wouldn't, you know what I mean? So. it's
Yeah,
something-
they just might.
Definitely something to
offer
look
it.
into, but
Yeah,
we're acquiring right of ways, that's more than the sidewalk, just to get that one straight, you know what I mean?
the stretch on 15 to Jolly's, I think, is used year round by people with baby carriages and everything else.
100%.
And I think that's a priority, just of real safety.
I think that's
But
a
it might
priority,
also
but I
be
think we
something
need to think about the other one.
Yeah, because we also have one on the other side of town going up to the Katie Wynn there. I mean, how many people have got killed literally in the past
But
2
again,
years
though, I
on
mean,
that one?
No, I'm just.
I know, the
It's
same-
out there
I get it,
real quick
I get
so
it.
that Gets it.
I get
They
it.
aren't there because it's really not a good option.
Right.
You have 60-foot banks that are just like this over here. You know, both sides of, you know, Gulf
I've
Hill
I've
there.
looked.
To get it, so that's where the trouble lies with that, you know what I mean? You're talking moving the bank back 16 feet to get 6 foot for the sidewalk.
I was thinking of a tunnel, but it wouldn't probably be safe, so anyway.
But these are all, you know, just like I said, any new additions to sidewalks, unless we already own the property, is gonna be more of an expense to acquire that area to do it than the sidewalks are gonna be to put in.
Well, what happened to me was I was driving from Cambridge.
When do we
And
start to do
someone
the
was
food
walking
trucks?
from the village up
Yep.
to the trailer park.
that coming
and
up
They were
soon?
in the road because there was snow on the side. I
Right.
saw the reflection of their sock.
I get it.
And I was just like, oh my God,
Yeah. It's a bad spot.
Yeah.
And it's something I guess we can start looking into. I just know that it's gonna
That
be,
is where this walking college might end up having, it's a 6-month program. May have some suggestions about how to make safe public paths. That's part of what it's about.
the biggest on that area though, is the river. The state culvert, as you were saying. That's, you know, because we're gonna have to prepare for them to replace the culvert each time, so it's gonna have to land perfect, probably gonna have a head in. Culvert head put in for it, especially. Because the state hasn't done that yet. I'm sure I don't know if they're planning it when they redid this section of the road, but.
We could always rent muckers and they could just go through the river.
I think it would be cheaper for us to get a suspension bridge off of River Road west across to Jolly.
Agreed, I thought of that too.
The sidewalk going up through this end, that's just my personal opinion, and it could be wrong.
No, I agree with that completely, because I was thinking of that on Railroad Street also.
So everybody, I'm sure everybody's kind of glanced over these.
Yeah.
Eric, anything that stands out that you want to put on top of the list besides?
Just the one that already agrees with our, well, what we talked about earlier. So,
Could I ask a question that was probably not
Your
there?
job, exactly.
Just in terms of speed and safety. I understand that the sidewalks on Railroad Street are the villages. And the road is the towns, is that correct? Who can implement the speed
Town.
on that road? So do I need to go to a select board meeting? I will do that, okay.
for which road?
Railroad Street.
Road Street.
It's at 25,
I know what it's
which
at,
is
but
the
it's not,
state minimum
right,
legal
but
posting.
it is not followed.
Oh, okay, so
It is
yeah,
not
so
followed
at least that's
at all.
the sheriff's department to enforce.
But would I go through the town or would I go to the sheriff's department? That's why I'm asking your guidance. I'd like.
I would just call the sheriff's department. Call the sheriff's department and ask them to post somebody randomly down there, because they will do that. They've done that for
Yeah.
me on our road.
Yeah, they can't lower the posted speed limit as low as they can
No, I don't want them to lower it. I want it to be
Right.
enforced.
enforce.
Well,
Yeah.
they just need to have a presence
Have a
there,
presence. Yeah,
like once a week, and you'll be amazed what it will do if they do that for
Mhm.
3 or 4 weeks.
You'll find the Lamoille County Sheriff picks and choose what they want to enforce.
right. I understand.
That's true.
Anyway, we don't need to get into that. No, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so I
would
think
give
we've
them a
talked
call.
enough. I think we're done with the ARPA survey part for now. We've allocated the money for the garage. If future projects come up, we'll take them as we see fit. Everybody agree with that? I agree. Linda?
Yep.
Moving on, we got discussion opportunity of the village to host forum for VSU leadership to address the community concerns about the future NVU. Johnson, considering preliminary schedule and options forward to be it. So. They approached the select board about hosting this little meeting. After you go ahead, Eric, you know more about it.
Sure, yeah, Senator Westcomb asked Catherine Lavassier, okay, I butchered her name, from BSU, about putting together a forum to address, the community about what's the future, what's in the future of NVU Johnson. And she said she'd love to get on the schedule. Love to do it. I think she'd get, be hard to get the president, maybe depending on the timeline, but get the chancellor, the local chancellor up here, she could definitely, make that work. the.
Kathleen is interested in attending the joint meeting. But at the time, she and I have been talking before any of this ever came up, and it's a long story, but she does know that there's a joint meeting coming up, and she is interested in talking to the select board and the trustees at the same time. And Eric, if you are in communication with her, are you in communication with Kathleen?
I have been a little bit, yes.
Yeah, so if you talk to her, I've been talking to her, but I haven't talked to her in the last week or so, but maybe that's something to put on the joint meeting so that she's not playing back and forth between the boards.
Yeah, if you guys want to, I'll do my very best to get it on at the very beginning of the meeting while things are civil.
Pleasant.
Sounds good.
Okay, so, but that one doesn't change, maybe having a forum, for the community to ask questions and just hear out what they have to present.
And you guys understand this isn't intended just for village residents, because the
Right.
select board was originally approached, so
Yeah.
Eric is gonna, if we do this, we'll put it out for the whole community.
Now, did the select board decline?
They did. They didn't
And-
have the desire to host.
I would be willing to be involved in that planning. I mean, I think it's important for everybody to understand what's going on.
Well, Eric's presenting this with us right now. Would you like to make a motion?
I would love to, but I'm not exactly sure how.
Okay, so Eric would be looking for a motion to continue and set up a date and time for an opportunity for the village to host the VSU leadership in a public forum.
Thank you. I will
I
second.
second it.
I wasn't making a note.
Yeah, there you go.
You just did.
That good enough, Don?
Perfect.
Okay, so we have a second. Any discussion?
I'll second it.
We have 2 seconds already.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So let's try to get it so it's not interfering with any joint meeting or.
Or board meetings.
Absolutely.
So if we could get it, a week or so to after our normal meeting would be a good time.
Oh, yeah.
That'd give us some time to soak in before our following meeting. Sound good?
Sounds very good.
Number 6, review of possible approval of updated village job descriptions.
So, yeah, I took the job descriptions, which were, I think, 2015. They were pre-union. They were when there's different terminology. They had a public works superintendent, and so it changed all the language. I tightened up some of the stuff. Changed Nate's a bit because the job has changed. We took out some of Ann's stuff, and put the coordinating with Ann on things and such on that one. After that one was the assistant foreman job description, which is a updating and changing of what was previously called the lead line worker. And putting in that, verifying that this person is, in charge when the foreman is absent.
That position's vacant.
It is vacant and we don't have the money to fill it right now, but the job description is available for when,
What one?
the assistant foreman.
Oh, that's first class, right? The first class
So
or
it's right now we have first class and we have 2 apprentices. We have a foreman. We don't have an assistant foreman, and
Did we
it's
ever
a
have
higher
one?
grade, it's a higher grade,
When?
higher pay grade. It's in the union contract, and we just don't have the money to.
When's the last time we
I
had,
know what.
when's the last time we had that?
Why was.
Nate was the lead lineman before he took. choice.
Right, but that's not the assistant foreman, or is the lead lineman, the assistant is called an assistant foreman.
Which we changed the name.
Okay,
We
but it's
changed
the
the
same
name. We
position.
changed the name, and it's a updated the same position because the position wasn't clarified. Because we really
There's
need,
just for a
we need that
raise.
person to also be an expert in water and wastewater distribution and collection, not just a good lineman.
And Paul wouldn't qualify for this because of where he lives.
He has to be within 30 minutes of the building.
Okay,
And that was prior to the union part anyway. so-
Right, so
What is the salary for a position like this?
about $47 an hour.
So annually,
It's a couple dollars.
90,000?
It's only a couple dollars more than the lead lineman.
And it's benefits and everything also included, so,
included in that 47?
no.
Well, no,
That's the hourly rate. that you're
Okay,
seeing.
okay.
So,
right.
So,
what I suggest is, we'll have Eric email you a copy of the last CBA, so you can read down through it.
Thank you,
That would give you a lot of inside information on it.
thank you.
we would have to go. Anything we decide on, we'd have to present it to the union, right? And
No.
get their approval?
No, it's already in. Yeah, this position is in the CBA.
No, I mean, for the other jobs, she said you've made some changes. For like.
The
Nate's
job,
now.
their job descriptions aren't referenced in the union.
Okay,
How large is that staff now?
What's that?
How large is that staff?
I have a foreman, a working foreman, that a true working foreman now, unlike previously, and three other linemen, one first class and two apprentices. They're getting close to be able to move up to first class.
And is there money to move one of them up into this position if they were qualified?
It's anybody that comes to first class lineman is gonna get the first class lineman rate tag.
But we're still a little ways.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still.
But I mean, it would be less to promote one of them than
this
to
is
hire.
conforming.
Oh, we're not, we have no plans of hiring an extra person.
Oh, okay, that was my question. All right, great.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
No,
Our hopes is to stay with four-man crew and
Yeah,
right.
if needed down the road,
Right.
general labor. or something.
It'd be, if this position, if we get to the point where we have the money, to put the extra couple bucks in, it'll be one of the people that's currently there moved up.
moved up, right? Now, just as an aside, I know that, I can't remember what his name, I think his first name might have been Eric, who was doing the apartments. He had come and asked for a letter of support to, add apartments at the end of Railroad Street.
Andrew May-
Andrew Make, yeah. Now, is that going to put an unnecessary tax on any of these positions or water systems or
No, it's all part of
anything?
the job.
We want more water and power consumption.
Okay, all right, good,
We
good.
want people to hook
For
up to
the,
us.
for the money.
Yep.
Okay, right, okay,
We
perfect.
have the capabilities to support the sewer. and
That was
water
my
feed.
question. All right.
We want to use it and just generates more income. The more income we can generate, the more we can expand. it.
Right, so we don't have to expand in order to accommodate that at
Correct,
this
yep.
point.
Correct.
Yay, thank you.
So both
Dan
line,
will do a lot of explaining on that when he gets with you about the capacity and where we're running at and.
Great.
yeah, so both the lineman and an apprentice lineman, I updated both for changes in titles and clarifying that they have to obey both the foreman and the assistant foreman. All those positions, I updated the compensation thing at the end to reflect the fact that we're under CBA, which they didn't have that before. The village manager's job description just had some typos in it and that was very minor updates.
I read through them all the other day when he sent the thing, and I think it's fine. Maybe just like Steve said, it's just, I mean, you're probably more up on it, just double check with your union, make sure it doesn't spend anything that's for it. But I think it would be a good update. We've been wanting to work on policy updates and stuff, and it's a good
Get things
start
defined.
by bringing up the lingo and adding the CBA that's already in there. I mean, they're going off it when they were all hourly employees, not union employees.
Yeah, and that lead lineman or the assistant foreman position, we were trying to define for the past couple of years.
It was
Like,
originally
probably lap-
defined, if I'm not wrong, before the CBA that you still had to be here, be within 30 minutes of the village.
It wasn't even in the CBA.
But it was originally defined in the old policy. So he didn't add it, he just brought some word in up more. It was it was in our original.
So yeah,
policy
I
before the
toughened
TV.
up the.
Yeah. That's why
toughened up-
Paul's not the assistant.
Right, I toughened up the distance language on all of the positions. To, because it, you know,
That's important.
we have no, you know. We gave a waiver of distance has been causing some issues. So I made them all non-waiverable distances with the current first class one has a caveat in it that says, you know, personnel currently in the position are grandfathered. That doesn't affect that agreement. So.
So let me ask you something too. I haven't read through these, so you may have already dealt with it. I know one of the issues was like, if they get called in, one of the guys go to the thing, it's something like pulling a breaker. And then even the person at home got paid, even though they didn't leave to come in. Did we kind of take care of that?
I feel.
You know what I'm saying?
Never be
Right.
one person alone touching anything.
Well, this is the fact that if you got somebody coming an hour away,
I understand that.
Right, well, we discussed it.
okay,
And because of the nature of almost all of their calls, we're gonna, and especially when the crew working is the one that has a long distance person. As much as it's tough on budget, it makes sense to get both of them rolling. Because if you wait to see what's wrong before you roll, that just delays it that much more time.
Yeah.
We have also, but we have set up to make the customer's time off, you know, shorter. Parameters of what one person can do before the other person gets there. Such as, you know, walking, if there's an outage, walking the line as long as you can see that the line is in the air. If you know, so if it's just a down fuse, you got it, and you've identified it. You call the other guy and you on his way in, you tell him, okay, down fuse, pull this, that, and the other thing, meet me here.
okay.
And then if they see the line drop off the pole, they stop. Right there.
Okay, let's go with something a lot lighter that they run into like the breaker box or whatever, and they get a 3-hour show up time. So let's use a long distance person and one of the guys closer, they come, it's literally a breaker box or something like that. You get the other person rolling, they're both rolling, okay? He kicks a breaker box, calls the other person's 10 minutes in his ride, says, oh, we're done, we're all set, going back. Does that person that leave get an hour show up time because he left, or does he get the whole 3 hours?
We probably should address that in the CBA, but it's 3-hour calling.
Okay, so it's just next round in CBA.
That's the.
But you know what I'm saying?
The benefit of
I
sitting
agree.
home at 7:30, not having a beer when you want one.
Yep,
Right.
right.
You know, I mean, and you're on your own time, you're not really getting paid unless you get called out.
Yeah.
Kind of the issue we had with Nate being on call all the time in the bad, you know, so.
That being
it's not much
said,
you can really.
some of our people on their own volition don't take the full call if it's something short like that. Just because that's how they feel. But they have the right to by
But those aren't the one I'm worried about.
well, they have the right, they all have the right to.
Yeah, okay.
So,
To see the next thing on the CBA, the next
Yep.
time we.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve the update of the village job descriptions performed by Eric.
I move that we approve Eric's village job descriptions.
Second,
Any other discussion? Linda,
Nope, we're all good.
all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Let's have it. Last item, discuss town priorities, future joint meeting. See attached draft agenda, discuss what items the village may want to add or remove.
Okay.
Not number one.
Discuss condition and future plan of the old mill house. We can definitely discuss it. Discuss condition and future plans of lower state. Lower storage is considered the pole barn.
yes, so no, the cold storage where the
Right, we have water.
water and heat.
Where we should be today with the front is the rec department
One really
storage?
boom grant.
That's the whole end though.
Yeah, the one down over the hill.
Down over the hill,
Putvain.
right.
It's color cold storage.
I do have a question about the merger. Because I know nothing about the merger, I have seen nothing on the merger. I'm just wondering, what is the opinion? If there even is one, of what happens with our light and sewer?
We haven't
if
even got
There were. a
even
merger.
close there yet.
That's way down the line,
Yeah.
okay, but isn't that a significant part of the
I
discussion?
just guess that's 2 years away.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
not yet. Right now, they're looking at a study to bring it all together, and then as soon as they combined everything, that's when specific points will be hit. But we do have a merger study out, and it's on a study. No, we have a study out right now.
No, you haven't voted to.
No, not this, the one that's already
An
out.
old one. It was an
The
old one.
original merger.
Yeah,
study.
I'm just saying that's something she could read.
Is that available to read?
It's on the website.
Oh,
on the
okay,
website.
good.
So read
You got a
that.
file. It's a lot of pages.
I'd definitely hit that before we come
It's
into
nice,
the.
maybe I'll sit outside and take a read.
It, you know, it's flowery and vague.
Yeah.
It's, they're good with words.
The last 3 pages tell the story.
All right, I'll go there first.
The rest of it's just,
And who
numbers
did
and
this, who did
equations.
this survey? Or the?
We got a
who did
grant,
this?
Meredith got a grant for it, or no, somebody got a grant.
No, there was no grant.
No,
No, we paid for it. Oh,
And how much did that cost?
Wow.
12.
Yeah, 10,000, 12,000.
And then after that, there was a merger study group, which me and Steve were part of.
Right.
We kind of did a rough guesstimate on where people's taxes and stuff would move, but we didn't take a lot of stuff into consideration. It was like a very rough copy.
So what would happen in this merger discussion and with the joint group?
It's where we're just throwing out more ideas and then the merger committee would go try to figure it out again and then come back to
Oh,
us.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank you. So
Yeah.
basically, it's just giving the merger committee permission to move on?
We're gonna throw out a bunch of talking points and then they can go hash it out a little bit and see if they can come back with an idea that makes everybody
Do you have
happy.
talking points in mind?
Not yet. They don't like our talking.
And what are our talking points? You just have to tell
All
me
right,
briefly.
let me correct it. They don't like my talking points. Oh,
There's a lot to deal with the mergers. You got the fire department, you got the electrical, there's just a lot to deal with
Okay.
on that.
I'd say brief yourself with the first merger study
I will do that.
and check out the joint meeting minutes. There was a couple of discussions there.
Okay. Are there any minutes from the committee or did those happen? in
Don't
the
think
joint
anybody
meetings?
took any to Debbie did.
No, I
no,
don't remember
we're
anybody.
not
No.
meeting.
But I think it was our last, not the last joint meeting, but it was either the time before that, or the time before that, Lydia can get you the thing, was when we were discussing the merger stuff that the committee found.
Okay, great, thank you for.
With some numbers in it and stuff.
Yeah.
that kind of threw out that narrative.
Our results would be in the minutes,
Okay,
Yeah.
terrific. I'll research
boiled
that.
down to a bare bones kind of.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
So I think we can pull 5 right off the docket with them because we
Yeah.
allocated our money.
Done.
Mhm.
Four, so.
So for, I'll give you a
What's
little
the-
background. So currently, the backhoe is owned 80-20. We pay 20%. We use maybe 5% at best. So the town administrator and I have discussed, because I'm not sure the timeline on the new backhoe, what purchase they're gonna do. But they're gonna be doing a new backhoe purchase. We've discussed that, and I don't know if this board has gotten buy off, but that it seems to be fair to us and make more sense, especially to us. When they trade it in, well, we get our 20%. And they will buy the new one on their own. And we will, if our needs, we will rent it at prevailing rate. And we will save money.
See, I was gonna ask you, I was gonna say, does Johnson Farm and Garden have a backhoe we could rent? Or even these guys?
It's a wheel haul, you know what I mean? It's got a bucket,
Right.
hoe in the back, tractor with a bucket and a
So
hoe.
it
What,
doesn't have to
Johnson
be.
Farm and Garden don't have
Nothing
that?
like that, no, he's got excavators or
Right.
just a regular tractor. so.
Gotcha.
So
And they would be willing to rent it at a decent,
at least, well, that's discussion between, me and Brian, and I'm not sure what buy-in there is over there, but to me, it seems extremely fair and, they use it 95
Right.
plus percent of the use. And we did,
And we're paying on maintenance and we're paying everything else.
20% of it, and it's not right. So
I heard they had kicked the new purchase down
the road a little bit.
3 years or
I'm
something
not,
like
sure.
that.
They're not certain. They don't know yet.
They don't know what they want. an
They don't,
excavator
they
or-
just don't know.
So fuel wise, let me just ask you, fuel wise, do they pay as you're using it, or do we pay 20% of the fuel too? Even though it's being
That's
used
where
90% of
keep
the
track
time.
of the fuel
I think
over
you
there.
track
We
the
get
fuel
fuel.
by-
Okay,
We pay our
okay.
portion, they
Gotcha.
pay their portion.
Yeah.
Remember,
So
they
we-
didn't have an
you
accurate
know.
meter for a while and Evan was throwing a bit about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep, that should stay on there, I guess.
Yep, I agree.
Because when we need it, like if we're digging up
We
the
need
street, that's
yesterday.
the machine you have to have, right?
Right.
Or a bigger one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's a smaller job, it's great. If it's a bigger job, yes, a bigger excavator.
So I see they didn't bring up Manchester, so that's, they've got the point on
Was that
that.
River Road East?
Road East.
That's Point River Road East.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
It's that.
I see the word Manchester and I was like, yes.
So that is, they think it's there's a controversy over who should pay, if anybody, for some drainage repairs that were done way back by the Manchester company. And their attorney sent us a letter. It wasn't a lawsuit or anything. It was just a letter saying that they thought,
Stating in the charter that it was our responsibility.
as our attorney replied to that letter, saying that we didn't think it was our responsibility. So that's where it stands now.
Yeah, we didn't give them permission, that as far as we know, we didn't give them permission and they did it themselves. The village did not do the work and did not sign permits for the work or any of that stuff. I think it comes down to an open sewer, right? Or an open.
There's three catch
storage.
basins and culverts that run across the road and dump in the Little River.
Right,
Now.
But aren't the roads the
Yeah.
towns,
There's
period?
3 rims in the ground and going to a drop culvert. There's no catch basins. We install concrete catch basins with grates and proper drainage. So they're saying that it's ours. It doesn't matter that the owner of the property installed it. So it washed out the road. So they want us to either be vested partners in fixing it, helping them fix it or something, because we're not gonna pay for it ourselves.
Right, is it on their, is it on
It's-
property, is it
It's
town?
on village property, some of it's on private property, and then the road is the responsibility. So it's a hodgepodge.
oh, stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
there's 3 of them and one of them isn't in the village limits, so that one's already eliminated. The other 2 are basically eliminated because they can't make us do it because it's not ours, we never installed it, but we gotta at least sit back, talk to them, explore what we could possibly do. I mean, if they wanna fix it and do it, we'll take it over after.
Right.
And then if I remember right, like some of the detail on it was a storm drain that's sealed is ours, a storm drain that's open to light is theirs. And this system was open to light also, right?
Correct, this is an open-ended culvert is what it is, so if it's got.
So it's also
catch basin
another
with an
thing
open-ended
that's-
culvert according to
In
the old. Way we used to do it, not according to the charter. The charter says that if it's a catch basin, it's ours. Well, it's not a catch basin, it's semi-rimmed, stuck in the ground. You know, it's not a real
Have
setup.
they lost that? So the only place that it has access to is their property?
It comes from the other side of the road, goes under the road and dumps out into the Boil River.
Okay.
So it's,
So are
It's-
they talking
we-
that we need to dig up the road?
That's what Nate
Fix
said
it.
would have to happen.
they want us to fix them, is what they want us to
But-
do. They're not.
But I
our-
thought the roads were, I'm confused because I thought roads were the towns, period.
Right, we're talking catch basins. Catch basins in the village, they're the villages, so that's the drain under the road.
Oh,
So
so the
they're
catch
basically
basins are
saying,
ours.
yeah, so they're basically saying since the catch basin is wiping out the road, we need to fix our catch basin so it stops wiping out their roads.
So they want us to fix
Oh.
their.
But right, I'm just saying, in their theory, it's,
Yeah.
they want us to fix it so it stops wiping out the.
It's definitely something that's gonna be on there because we haven't discussed it only through lawyers. So-
Thank you. Thank you.
But I think maybe the best way to handle this is Eric and the chair and the 2, because if the 5 of us and the 5 of them and
Yeah.
it's gonna really become
Muddy.
wieldy and muddy.
Yeah.
And because, there's a big potential that our attorney's gonna have to get involved again. We don't know. Hopefully not. You think he-
They have no leg to stand on.
Uh-huh.
They're
I'll say I would like
they're
to
focused
hear
to get us to work with.
Ken, should I bring my feather to the meeting?
You could try. It was a good tool, but basically, from my understanding, is they have no leg to stand on. It's never been touched by the village. It's not ours.
Okay,
If we touch it, it's our responsibility from
Yes,
there on.
that's how it goes, yeah.
No, and I think Steve is good. I think if the rest of us just step back, keep our mouth shut and let you four go back and forth. She's already aware of what they're dealing with. You're already aware of what we're dealing with, and I
Yeah,
think,
I dealt with this with Steve off to the side.
Yeah.
When it was going on, I had the time to do it.
yeah, I
Thank
think,
you for explaining it. to
I think
me. I'll-
Steve is
I'll-
correct.
I'll
Okay.
stand back.
Gigi, if you don't understand something, you ask, and anyone of us that knows what we're talking about will tell you. I don't.
It's probably one of those things that's like a good reason for a merger, but that's, you know, you can make your opinion, your own opinion about that.
Yeah,
Because if we were merged, that wouldn't be an issue.
yeah.
Well, it'd still be an issue because how much, does it really belong to municipality, either municipality or versus the private owner?
Right.
How much is something like that picture talking about hundreds of thousands or?
About, I'm just gonna throw it about 40,000 a spot.
So how come CJ,
For
I'm
all,
talking about per spot. So if we do 2 spots, we're at.
Oh,
close to
oh,
100
oh,
grand.
yeah.
Okay.
We got a catch basin, which is a concrete box. The height of it is gonna drop down about 10 feet, then elbow out and go out across. So if we're doing the box, we're doing the culvert and now, but we're not doing that.
they did a big one in Cambridge on Williamson Road a
Yep.
couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I'm envisioning pretty much exactly what they're looking
Linda had
for.
a question.
so how come CJ isn't responsible for that?
Well, that's where the town should be talking to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it seems,
Well, I can
that
tell you-
seems like he is the
Because
go-to
Henry
person.
Manchester was the chair at the time.
Well, that's because Henry Manchester controlled everything back at the
Well, he
time.
was also the chair or on the select board at the time, so.
Yeah, and he also was a representative. He was a representative for the
And
state. at the
nobody
time.
knows when this was done.
Yeah, I bet
And
CJ does.
Our longest running employee, Cliff Hill, didn't have a clue when it was done. His story was to Nate, don't touch nothing down there.
Wow, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's. But again, it's gonna be on the agenda. We gotta discuss it.
Yeah.
Well, if we can work with them and we can figure something out, then we should, but, you know, I mean, I don't think the village should eat any of that.
I
We can listen to it. They have a proposal.
Now, at the same time, people are wanting to build down there, so I believe we only have water down that road. I'm not 100% sure, so if they.
What's that?
Down River Road East, we only have water,
East? Okay.
so we just gave somebody allocations for sewer on that road, didn't we?
No, west.
Oh, west.
But there is somebody that wants to build on
There
it
was
too.
two 8-bedroom apartments.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with Greg, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. You
And
feel
I think we gave them a extension on that, didn't we?
Was
Not
that
yet.
in the cemetery area across from Jenna's Promise, or is that someplace?
No,
else?
you go over the bridge and it bangs out left, it's right
Oh,
there.
okay.
He wants to build a couple places right there and bring sewer and water down. to
Well, and see, that's my whole issue with the traffic. Anyway, this is a whole nother issue, but the traffic on Railroad Street. Increased traffic with new residentials, which we need, but then also with the rail trail people pass each other on Railroad Street.
Right.
I mean, they go 60 miles an hour on Railroad Street. It is not a safe street.
I've been slowing
Last
down.
time I lived on,
No,
I'm joking.
look,
last time I lived on River Street was in 1990, and they were going faster.
Really?
Yeah.
I still say we should, I say we should have
Say, you
speed
know what I
bumps.
mean, it's a continuous thing.
I think that road honestly should have a couple speed bumps on it.
Well, but then that's a town issue.
Are you sure it ain't your neighbor?
I was gonna say that road and School Street.
No, I said I've been slowing down.
Tell you something, the woman was talking, one of the neighbors was talking about the four-wheelers. I'll be really quick with them. And I said, you know what? I have seen the four-wheelers going down the street. They are not a menace. They are very respectful. And they're not the problem. This guy, all of a sudden, boom, boom, down the street. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, I apologize. I'm working on that. And she had a big smile on her face. And she said, don't worry. He's known we like him. And it was fine. I'm like, and he's doing this, you know.
He's
and-
just loud, he's not fast.
I
Say
know.
number 7.
But anyway, thank you for letting me share that. But the four-wheelers are not the problem.
So number 7, potential energy project, that's the plan. Number 7 is the plan.
Potential energy efficiency projects.
So I just
for
want to
shared
talk
buildings.
about if you want to do investments in energy efficiency, like in this
Do
building.
we want to put heat pumps in it? Do we want to change the LED lights? Do we?
Wasn't there a grant?
There's some monies available.
There's significant money available.
Yeah, if we can get grants or something.
Now. The,
Is there a story
I
behind this?
believe, well. I believe that the BGS energy efficiency grant is up to 500,000 per municipality.
Oh, I thought it was per building. Is it per
I think it's per
municipality?
municipality. I got to double check. I'm pretty sure it's per municipality. You can't just do all your buildings and soak all their money.
Yeah, I want.
See, but does Johnson fall into the different category because we've been designated depressed?
Well, not on that, I don't believe.
But I don't know,
Yeah.
because it sounded to me.
Yeah,
like
so we don't
there was
want to compete with our water and light garage on a shared building.
No, not at all, not at all.
Right.
Which
I
is
thought
good
we
to
had
know.
some kind of, I thought we had some kind of, something going with the lighting in the municipal office building already. I
Well,
thought
we had
we had,
discussion. Eric had energy efficiency grant and.
right,
I went to college.
Right, so I ended up with, we were a targeted community, it rotates around with the efficiency Vermont money that everyone pays a little bit on their power bill. And we have $60,000 in money that I had to split up into 4 to 6 projects. I split it into 4. You have one municipal project, and then the others have to be split between businesses and nonprofits and such. So I did 25,000 that Dan was talking about, the wastewater department is our biggest energy draw. I sent $20,000 to NBU for large nonprofit. We've got $7,000. I forget. Yeah, 7,500 at Sterling Market for refrigeration for my business project. Another 7,500 for the food shelf for refrigeration for the other nonprofit.
So then that means, so that the $4,000 evaluation, which is what then led to the $500,000 potential use for the upgrades, right? So I know that there had been discussion that that could be applied to this building, correct? But if it's only available for one spot, it needs to go to the village garage, right? Correct?
Correct.
Okay, all
And
right.
they're
But
gonna,
on our portion,
right,
the
they're,
town can do their own thing
right,
on
the
it.
town's hoping that we'll put our.
Oh,
I think they're hoping-
but aren't we separate? Can't
Right,
we
but
apply
they're
for their
hoping
own?
that we'll do the same thing they're doing.
On
But
shared
we've already
properties.
For this property?
It's property.
decided all of our.
Okay, and I agree that we need to.
But our money's already gone.
Garage, okay.
Well, we're hoping it's gone towards the garage. That's what it's.
Right.
Right,
I mean, the garage is like what keeps this, what will draw business
that's what-
here is what.
you know,
we need our garage.
We need the garage, yeah.
I mean,
The
we're at,
vote
we're
intent
at
of the
odds.
board is it goes to the garage.
Right,
So-
okay, good, all right, I support that
We've
completely.
installed an expensive air scrubber to get us by, so we need to keep this project moving before they tell us the employees cannot be in there. again.
Right, which is what I would
And
expect.
this building's already been partially upgraded. Some of these lights are fluorescent, some are LED. They're on timers, motion censored stuff. So there are the things we can do here, certainly. But it's definitely not low hanging.
It's not necessary, yeah.
This is like the newest building we've got jointly owned too.
Right,
So it's-
okay.
so
And also, people can always just donate their time to go fix the things. I mean, I'm sure we've got residents who are capable,
And they might be talking about other buildings as well, but
right,
I was using this as an example.
right.
So one of the things, another thing is, I know that would be under that merger discussion is gonna be the merger plan. Where are we think, I know what I'm thinking on it, what are other consensus on this merger plan and how much are they asking for again? 30K from us? My personal thought is being village residents, they're paying town taxes. So they're paying 30,000 for that anyways, and if we put money in, then we are forcing our residents to pay twice.
Well, at our village meeting. We were told not. Spend $30,000.
Yeah, I got told not to spend a single
We
penny.
told them to all come to that meeting.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But we were told not to, and I think I was the one that hollered out when you all showed the hell up to the joint meeting. Because they're gonna want us to. So. It's a discussion, nothing's in stone, so we're gonna go in there and discuss it, and whether we agree or not, and we had a discussion.
Right.
And we did tell them to come.
Yeah.
We go to that meeting. It's like, if you guys don't want it, you guys go, but
And
I
I
definitely,
seconded it.
yeah, I definitely did.
So,
I mean, it is double dipping, it really.
it is, that's where we talk again about the double tax part. When you're talking just big funds of cash. We all pay the town tax. We get that we're a separate charter. But it would be a lot easier if we could collect our own damn tax and deal with it. than to
Correct,
get
well,
it-
we don't have the money to
just the way
sustain,
it- Somebody set it up 125 years ago.
right,
Kind
right.
of the way it is.
Well, I really, really thank you all for taking the time to explain, answer my questions. I appreciate that.
Okay, any other business going on?
Okay, so of their list, I've scratched off 5. What else? Any others?
I think everything else, we're definitely gonna talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 5 was that.
Well, then the other question, is there anything
We wanna,
that the village wants to add to the agenda?
I mentioned something to you, what the hell was it? The other day when we were talking. I don't know, I'll look.
Well, if-
But
Yeah, I mean.
we have time to add stuff.
We do.
Is the retreat going to come up in this meeting at all?
Sure, it'll come out.
Because again, if people want to get people safely from the rail trail to the village, Railroad Street needs to be addressed because it's not safe. And the first terrified bikers that try and get there, word spreads, I mean, they're just gonna go, first impressions are everything, and they're just gonna stay on their bikes, hope to cross at that loop where French Hill comes down, hope to
Yeah.
survive that gauntlet and head right to Morrisville.
But
They
that's
don't need to
town.
stop here.
That's not a village thing, that's a town.
But it's sort of a combined thing, I mean, and that, all I'm saying is that might be something we wanted to ask if the rail trail is going to come up, because everybody wants economic development and this and that. You can't, if it's not a safe passage, they will not come.
Well, that's a tough one because
know?
they say they want economic development, and I had the ATVs in this community for an entire summer and they kicked them out, but yet they spent the entire winter trying to get the snowmobiles down in here. So that's,
See, which makes no sense, because I know, because
Thank you.
I'm
So
telling you,
the,
the every time that I saw an ATV go down Railroad Street, and I spent a lot of time outside, they were respectful. It's
so the
the,
ATVs are no longer on town roads.
oh yeah, they can't stop that, but they shut down. I can haul my ATV down here and drive back and forth on Main Street because that's permitted by the state.
But side roads,
The side road from Gould Hill and the paved Railroad Street, no, but if you want to unload over on River Road East, you can start riding on the dirt road.
And the select board does have a rail trail committee now.
Yeah.
That hasn't started yet.
So I agree, it's gonna come up, so you know what I mean, it is what it
I
is.
mean, I don't know whether we want to add it or something, but I mean,
Sure.
everybody seems to be putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Oh, we need art projects. No, we need safety first, because nobody's going to come to enjoy the art if we can't get them to the art safely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't bring my child, if she
I
were.
know
an
last
adult.
year, was it last year that they painted the bike markers down the road? Or the
Year before, I think.
Year before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe we can
But
bring
even
it up
then,
that
that's
they
not,
repaint
it's
that.
not big enough.
No, I know, but they're getting faded, so maybe we'll bring up that they should repaint that. Work
Yeah.
towards that or something.
Yeah, something, but I mean, it's not.
Maybe a speed sign, one of the solar ones.
But let me ask you, can we ask them on this, being a joint meeting mean we do things to trying to do things together. Can we use a joint meeting to tell them what they should do on their stuff? That's pretty much what
we
you-
do on our stuff all the time. So.
Well, not in a joint, well, in a joint meeting, they're trying to, on everything, they're trying to get us to
We're
give them something.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, it's not on there. Do you want to add it on in this discussion? we can, all you gotta do is say yes, and it's gonna be added, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, Railroad Street
Trail-
has been discussed many, many years about the traffic on, way back
For
before
safety,
Old Mill
Railroad
Park
Street
was
for
there.
Safety,
when it
well,
was a
right, but the
Telco.
railroad, the rail trail was not functioning then. This sort of brings the discussion to a different level if we're trying to get those potential consumers to Main Street.
Yeah.
That wasn't there as a resource before.
So add Railroad Street traffic safety.
I think
I
so.
mean, the biggest thing is gonna be contacting the sheriffs and asking for more enforcement.
Oh, I will definitely do that. I'll do that tomorrow, you know, and I mean, they drive by me all the time. In fact,
I
the other
mean,
day,
there's other
I'm
things.
up here telling people to slow down, and the other day, one of them was the sheriff, you know, and. it's
There's
like,
nobody told some guys over.
There's other things you can do. You can change where your white lines are and like squeeze the lanes, which gives you more bike lane and that tight
Well, see,
perception.
I was thinking those.
It actually slows people.
Yeah,
There's no
Yeah.
white lines, there's no yellow line.
All right, but there could be.
I understand, I'm
Right.
not saying there isn't, it hasn't been,
I mean.
There
I
are
was
things- there's things the town can do.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, speed,
So let's add
bumps, lane narrowing.
That
there's
road
things that can be
safety.
done.
Because I mean, I was thinking over the weekend, I'm like, I'm actually just gonna start walking into the street when I hear somebody coming loudly, because I know my hero here will save me if I get hit. I hope.
So road street safety, anything else anybody think of? Linda, anything else you wanna add for the joint meeting?
No, no, I think a lot's gonna come up.
Yeah.
I think we need to be
Really,
careful to not, point fingers. You know, we want a good working relationship with them. And I know Beth is the chair, but you're not gonna believe it, but she and I do not discuss one word of any of this stuff. So I don't have no idea where they stand, but I am concerned. I don't want to do that.
You can figure it out.
Yeah, it's gonna go both ways on that.
Yeah, I said, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter
it
what you
is.
tell her, you just gotta read the minutes and she'll figure it out.
No, we need to
Yeah.
work together, but this is one community.
Correct.
Exactly,
Well, no, actually, it's two communities.
exactly.
Right. Yeah, it is, right? Yeah.
You know, one other thing that I think we need to think about too is the sidewalks on Railroad Street and the unevenness of them. And whether somebody should do a walk down them and check to see where any of it has risen up and what needs to be ground down. So it's not a tripping hazard.
After the village meeting, me and Steve had a quick conversation about that. Steve's volunteered to give us the heads up on it. He said he walks all the sidewalk. I told him I'd go with him, but he
Yeah,
didn't.
no, they're in better shape than some of the other sides.
Yep, so you pick out the ones.
There's only a couple bad spots.
There's great improvements with leveling sidewalks with the spray foam underneath and stuff now that could be a lot cheaper if it's just a height.
Yeah, and they grind down that high part too, so.
But if you and BJ want to donate some land, we could come closer to BJ's living room and.
Everybody could watch TV. We could have chairs out there. So, yeah.
I've had
You know,
people,
it's like everybody's movie night at
I've
beach.
literally, at the end of my road is my house, and I've had people, what was it, Lisa Cruz was one of them, and she's like, yeah, I sit there, I saw something was on TV and I just watched it for a second, because I knew that.
Yeah, when I lived there, you come down Clark Avenue and you just sit there and watch the news on
Yeah,
BJ's
watch
TV.
TV. Yeah, that's awful.
So I guess I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Question for adjourn. I was going to do that, BJ.
Second,
Whoops, sorry.
So really good. Somebody needs to, go to LCPC meetings.
Would you like to continue doing that?
You're still the director.
Walking knowledge.
Okay.
That's gonna be a lot of.
What's the LCPC meeting is consist of? What does that consist of?
Village representatives.
She need to officially resign from that.
You probably have to resign. You did.
When is that? Is there a certain date they do it?
Chili. Fourth Tuesday of the month.
Or something that you think you could do? Once a month?
Where is it?
Morrisville.
You can do Zoom.
You can do it.
And
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
LC,
so.
and it's LCPC.
Planning commission.
Yeah, and you're into that sort of stuff.
I am into that sort of stuff. I've been making friends right and left.
Yeah,
All right,
so it's
so,
once a month. Will you be our rep?
I will.
okay, so
Motion.
Perfect. Thank you, Diane.
we have a motion on the
Well,
table.
Diane, then.
Oh, sorry.
I just have, it's not about this.
Yep.
So you want to do that motion?
I have a motion for making GiGi the representative from Oil County Planning Commission.
Second
Second,
it.
or a motion.
And I'm sorry, it's Tuesday at what time?
Fourth Tuesday at what, 6, I think.
Tuesday,
6 o'clock.
6:30.
6:30 PM. And that's Pat Ripley, correct?
No, in our game is the executive director.
The guy probably morning was here tonight.
He's part of it.
He started.
Yeah, the guy was here
Do
tonight.
you have a number or address to that?
Diane, could you email GiGi all the information?
Perfect.
Thank you, thank you.
So do we have a motion?
Motion, BJ.
Diane has one other thing she.
Yeah.
After the motion,
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, GiGi.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next.
And the last thing is the general report, and I did already fill out the form and I submitted it in my name while I was still a trustee for Tuesday Night Live to be the award recipient this year. And I'm asking if you guys will back that up.
What's the board?
I think it's a really good idea.
The whole committee would get the award, you're saying.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
that brings a lot of people into,
Do you think, or are we good with just consensus?
I'm good with the consensus.
Consensus, yeah.
Sounds good, Dan.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll require a letter from you. But you know.
If so, you can get a hold of Eric and I'm sure he can do that for you.
Yep.
And Eric, you can get Diane GG's email for us.
Oh, yeah, you can text me, if you
Yeah.
want.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you're still on the, no, yeah, we moved you from the, well, I'm actually, your email is gonna go away anyway, so then just, yeah. Yeah, basically, I'm gonna hold tech group and have them convert yours to hers.
So here's.
Yeah, because that way we don't have to pay for this extra email.
Oh, I need to sign that one also?
The big, so when you sign this, you just. That, everything's.
Okay.
Think she signs it, right, with your name on it?
Yes.
Okay, yep, I didn't think they were on all.
Yeah, no, she,
So I'm looking for a
Here,
motion to adjourn.
I move my, that we adjourn.
Second.
it's okay, next time.
We're not done yet.
Oh.
If you want to do it.
Yeah, you already did it. You're gonna get her notes all messed up.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Steve, you want to slam us out your last time?
Yeah. Thank
John.
you all very, very much.